There, you awakened wonders. Thanks for joining me today for Stay Free with Russell Brand. In many ways, it's a complicated show. In another way, it couldn't be simpler. It's globalism versus freedom. I can say that with absolute certainty, for it is beginning to look a lot like Davos week. And Davos week has come coincidentally, immediately parallel to new concerns about disease X. If you're one of the people joining us right now on Rumble, welcome, soapbox champion, Russ Unzel. Yeah, I can't say that because you've spelt the F word using PH. Very good, very good. Danny D13, all right, mate, I love you as well. Have you seen the cold, snowy blizzards in Iowa and Colorado? Yeah, you've got one part of the conversation saying it's been caused by weather manipulation and the other half of the conversation saying it's been caused by climate change. We've got a brilliant show today. We're going to be talking a bit about disease X, which is apparently imminent. Who will benefit from disease X? What kind of solutions will be suggested for disease X? We're also going to be talking about Trump v. Vivek. The Iowa caucus is around the corner, and what are we noticing? Well, it seems that there's a fissure between Trump and Vivek, as well as, I don't know, Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley. Are they really even plausible offerings at this point? Now, the first part of our show will be available on YouTube, but you've seen now there are new pop-ups appearing on YouTube. You've seen that continually beneath our content are warnings for misinformation, but it seems to me increasingly that the legacy media are the conveyors of misinformation. It seems to me that state-funded media is a greater threat and a greater risk than independent media, which is coalescent even now with independent political movements, and for the first time perhaps in history, we have the opportunity to oppose the establishment. They have their Davos, we have ours. Decentralized but unified, opposing their establishment agenda. So today we're asking, what will win? Globalism or freedom? Press 1 if you believe globalism. Press 2 if you believe freedom. And by pressing 2, you are believing in yourself. If it's within your means, consider becoming an awakened wonder and joining our locals community so that this movement gets the support it needs. Now, in the giddy snows and blizzards of the Iowa caucus, one man is emergent. Yeah, vote for your own freedom. Freedom, freedom. And then there's a few radicals in there pressing 3, of course. And I appreciate that. And I respect your freedom and I respect your free speech. And if you're watching us on YouTube, first 15 minutes will be up there. Then we will be venturing into the free stream of Rumble where we can wade and wallow and bask in free speech for everybody. So listen, do you want to have a little look at Trump in a white hat before we get into his spat with Vivek and look at his Truth Social post? Do you want to have a look at, I mean, there's a whole variety of things that we can show you. We've got a little piece of Yuval Harari criticizing Trump. We're going to be looking at that in a second. And once we leave YouTube, it's Dr. John Campbell and mouses. Yeah, that's right. There's some extraordinary research taking place on humanized mouses that I'm deeply concerned about. Let's have a look at Donald Trump in a white hat. Let me know what you think, you QAnon lovers. What's he communicating through the top of his head? What am I communicating through the top of my head? Let's have a look. And let's remember that freedom will not come in the form of some reified or elevated individual, but because of the awakening truth within you, that you are the revolution that they fear most, that your consciousness, your attention is the territory that they want to conquer, and they cannot prevent you from awakening. God knows they're working hard to prevent you from waking up, and they are failing, aren't they? Because you are awakening even now. Mrs. CMS says, please cover the Dr. John brain disease story. We are going to cover that. We've got some great coverage on that coming up to you. And Guatemala, some of you want to talk about that, do you? Kennedy 24, yeah, I think he's given a really fantastic speech. We're going to be covering some of his polling later in the week. Let's have a look at Trump in his white hat. As I says, mice. No, the correct term for pluralizing a mouse is mouses. One mouse, several mouses. That's how the language works. just drinking up the sweet patriotism there. Dextral1 says Meese. And someone saying about you can't do what Christ does within you. I believe that Christ is a central component to individual awakening, but I respect that other people have different beliefs. In a sense, it matters not. The awakening of the Messiah in the individual consciousness, absolute fairness and freedom, no hierarchical structures of domination or dominance to be imposed upon you from the outside. Do you like it? Central scrutinizer, white hat. What do you think about the white hat? It's interesting, right? What about Trump Vivek then? What do you think about that? You've had Trump post about Vivek in a, I suppose, somewhat derogatory sense. Let's have a look. Oh, I'm in charge. So
I want to ask you about this moment.
Could I see the Truth Social post? Is that one of the buttons? The Truth Social post? Is that... It's in the, oh yeah, we agreed that. Let's have a look at this. We'll look at this legacy media reporting and we'll see Trump's post within it.
That happened on social media over the last 12 hours, and that's Donald Trump going after Vivek Ramaswamy. Trump posted on Truth Social, Vivek started his campaign as a great supporter, the best president in generations, he's called Donald Trump. Unfortunately, now all he does is disguise his support in the form of deceitful campaign tricks, very sly.
Very sly.
But a vote for Vivek is a vote for the other side. Don't get duped by this. Vote for Trump. Don't waste your vote. Vivek is not MAGA, and the Biden indictments against his political opponent will never be allowed in this country. They are already beginning to fall MAGA. Now, Vivek responded, by the way, Larry, and he sort of took the high road and said, look, I'm not going to get in a fight with Donald Trump.
Extraordinary. I know that Tim Pool said Trump 24, Vivek 28. Interesting take. Let's have a look. And this is, I think, the kind of post that's antagonized Donald Trump, where it's save Trump, vote Vivek. I suppose, is that it? Let me know if you, what you guys think. V for Vivek, T for Trump. Let me know in the chat. You know what we believe over here. Without a radical change to these systems and institutions of corruption, without the dissolution of the FBI, without the freedom for Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, without true decentralization, without the ability, I mean, there's a lot of T's, a lot of T's. It's one mouse, three mouses. That's correct. Well done. That's good stuff. You all understand grammar perfectly well. Hey, listen, one thing, whether you think that Trump is the savior, or if you think that Vivek is the savior, or if you think that Bobby Kennedy is the savior, or if you believe in free communities, the sovereignty of the individual, and the awakening enlightenment within yourself, this is a place that you can come for freedom. One person who's pretty concerned about Trump is Yuval Noah Harari, who many of you consider to be one of the central and most significant voices of globalism. We're going to have a look at his concern when he went on the Diary of a CEO podcast, which I've been on. I've interviewed Yuval Noah Harari several times at the beginning of my journey into these types of spaces when he wrote the very successful book Sapiens. And I know a lot of you guys in the comments go, look, you met Yuval Noah Harari. And of course, I've met loads of people, and I'm really interested in these types of conversations. But if you are someone that is concerned about globalism, if you are concerned about centralization of state power in Davos week of all weeks, which seems to be the soft propaganda arm for the WHO, for all sorts of globalist establishment, elitist interests, then you are going to find Yuval Noah Harari's comments here pretty concerning. Let's have a look.
Are you concerned that Trump might be elected again shortly?
I think it's very likely. And if it happens, it is likely to be the kind of like the death blow to what remains of the global order.
Death blow to the global order. So I suppose openly, Yuval Noah Harari considers the global order to be a positive thing. Do you consider the global order to be a positive thing? Yes or no? Wire in. Is the global order a force for freedom, for ecological benevolence, for equality, for love, for high values? Or is the global order the mouthpiece for corporatism, the mouthpiece for new techno-fascism, the mouthpiece for new aristocracies, for new forms of tyranny, for moving power further and further away from individuals who I believe could get along a lot better without the intervention of state forces such as, beyond state, globalist forces such as the WEF, WHO, IMF, all of these words. I feel like we need more freedom, not less, but Yuval Noah Harari believes the global order is a good thing. Global order is slavery. slavery. Indeed, for dependency is approaching slavery. And as we become dependent on these deceitful, treacherous, corrupt little devices, as we become, as the anarchists used to say, de-skilled, as we lose the ability to grow our own food, lose the ability to repair our own machines, lose the ability to run our own communities, lose the ability to have access to our own food and our own resources, a global order seems to present itself as a kind of savior offering you crunchy insect goodness where you own nothing and yet you are happy. And indeed, I think much of the antipathy towards Trump is precisely because in his rhetoric, in his America First discourse, he is an opponent to globalism. So whether you are the most pro-Trump person in the world, and I know there's a lot of you love Trump in that chat, and I know over here in the Awaken Wonder, there's a lot more cynicism about the potential for any leader of a uni-party democracy to make significant difference to the lives of ordinary people, and we're all extraordinary in our own way, then Yuval Noah Harari's words are interesting because he sees the global order as a force for positivity. Let's see the rest of this.
And he says it openly. Now, again, it should be clear that many of these politicians, they present a false dichotomy, a false binary vision of the world, as if you have to choose between patriotism and globalism, between being loyal to your nation and being loyal to some kind of, I don't know, global government or whatever.
Those of you that are Christians, those of you that are Jewish, those of you that are Muslim, those of you that are material atheists or Hindus or Jain or Buddhist or whatever ideological perspective you come at the world from, surely we can see in the vast expanse of the infinite we have a collective and shared interest together. But surely as you recognize the sanctity of the individual experience, the subjective experience of being the occupant of a soul, inhabiting the vehicle of a body, you recognize that the sovereignty of the individual is paramount, and that if you have a decentralized but unified opposition to globalism, that will be the maximization of freedom rather than the minimization of freedom that seems to be an important part of the agenda of those that frame their views at Davos, those that use the WEF as a mouthpiece and platform for, I would say, increasing globalist authoritarianism. These are the people that we have to oppose. Your individual religious beliefs or lack of religious beliefs, to me, are not important. But your individual sovereignty, absolutely vital. Yes, we cannot allow ourselves to be divided and conquered. That is right. I agree with you in that chat. Yeah, we can't be loyal to a faceless government, bing boinkster, can we? CETFness, I agree with you, Russell. Yeah, thanks, guys. Let's have a look at this lovely moment. This is from Davos this year. Rebel News, who don't mind getting up in the grill of the corporate types. You may maybe remember that famous viral clip last year where they were following Albert Bourla around going, is it that Australian dude? I think he called Avi, going, hey, listen, mate, what's going on? Like really agging out Albert Bourla. And Albert Bourla, oh, no, this is not how Albert likes to do business. I like to do interviews with people that say I'm the moon shooter. I am the Buzz Aldrin of vaccination. This year, they're outside BlackRock, as you know, that's a sort of a conglomerate investment firm headed up by Larry Fink that many of you, including the likes of Bobby Kennedy, believe to be the sort of financial interest that dominates, subverts, and represses the kind of democracies that your founding fathers intended for you, or republics. I don't care which words you use. I care about the word freedom for all of you individually and for all of us collectively. Let's have a look at those Canadian radicals from Rebel News outside of BlackRock and watching microcosm globalism versus independent media. Now, I'm sure that our little organization would have points of distinction and difference from another organization like Rebel News, but we believe in Rebel News' right to report, and we believe in their individual freedom the same way as we believe in all of your rights to express yourself culturally and socially however you want to, as long as you don't harm others. When did this stuff get so complicated? Let's have a look at Rebel News on holiday at Davos.
Hey everybody, Ezra Levant here with my friend Avi Yamini. We arrived in Davos, Switzerland yesterday because tomorrow the annual gathering of the World Economic Forum elites, it's a very exclusive, reclusive club. They take over this ski village in the Swiss Alps and they transform the center street into, I guess the best way to describe it is like a movie set. Absolutely. And big globalist corporations set up pavilions and kiosks behind me is really...
It's weird, isn't it? It's a weird thing, Davos. It does look unusual. It's losing a lot of its sucker, I think, as independent reporting, such as this and loads of others, continues to gain prominence and popularity. You can't do Davos anymore. It's a sort of a tainted brand, isn't it? I mean, we all hear the word Davos and we don't think, oh, that's that thing where they're all trying their hardest to help us. You're, oh no, it's Davos. It even sounds a little bit evil, but it's extraordinary to see it like a kind of trade fair like that with all of their branding taking over all the snowboard shops and hot chocolate outlets, temporarily adorned with the language of BlackRock, Vanguard, Pfizer, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Let's have a look at our these guys over at Rebel News. In a minute, someone comes out of BlackRock, gives them a little bit of grief.
The heart of darkness, BlackRock. It's run by Larry Fink, perhaps the world's most aggressive promoter of cultural Marxism, DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion. BlackRock has trillions of dollars under management, and what they do is really sneaky, Avi, is that they say to the company...
Look at this. So here is a BlackRock employee meandering into the shot. Check it.
They invest in. We're not just here for a financial rate of return. We're going to force you to do... Are you interrupting? Are you
interrupt? He's right on the front foot, isn't he, this dude? It's not his first rodeo. Listen, remember, if you're watching us on YouTube, we'll be on that platform for a couple of more minutes because we've got to speak freely. That's necessary. And YouTube has increasingly become a platform that supports legacy media. As you know, they use WHO community guidelines to regulate their content. That's why that John Campbell video had to be taken down. We're covering that later in the week. Some of you are asking about that video and the brains of mouses being discussed. And if you want to become a supporter of our work and a member of this movement, we'll post a link now in the chat, because we do additional content, including one additional Here's the News per week and early access, as well as our Whitney Webb interview this week. You can join us live and put your questions to Whitney by becoming a member of our community. Of course, we'll make that interview available to all of you, but if you want to be there while me and Whitney are chatting, become a member of our community. Okay, let's have a look at how the BlackRock employee intervenes in this chat between the Rebel News colleagues.
interrupting us? What's your name?
Sorry to interrupt, but this is a parking space, so I just wanted to ask you to move over to...
I'm not going to, because there's no car coming to the...
What do you think the idea is? Just disrupt them, or do you think they don't like that the shot's got BlackRock in it? What do you think is the idea? Is that what you think is because of the BlackRock in the background, like mess up the shot? Because all that the employee can legitimately do is say, move over away from that space.
This parking space. What's your name?
I don't want you guys to
What's your name?
get hit by a vehicle.
Me neither. Thanks for caring so much about me. I feel like BlackRock really cares.
Watch yourself.
Okay, what's your
Oh, watch yourself. Hello, that sounded a little bit more threatening.
name?
My name's Julia. Hi.
Julie, are you with BlackRock or are you with, yeah? What do you do with BlackRock?
Oh, I'm not going to go into interview
Don't touch me.
mode, I'm
Don't
afraid.
touch me.
Amazing, the don't touch me thing now, huh? Because that's how it is. Did you see the Chrystia Freeland move the other week when, who was it that time? Was it someone else from Rebel News? Someone was sort of like chatting to her down the street. He was a Rebel News person in an incredible kind of Panama hat. And like the Canadian police just rushed this dude into a wall. It was like, and like said, you assaulted her. You assaulted her. I don't even think there was physical content. It was just sort of a mic in the immediate area. So, yeah, that kind of move now, that constitutes assault. It's a crazy world we're living in.
Sorry, don't touch me.
What does BlackRock care about?
This is private space, so if you guys wouldn't mind just moving...
I would mind. You're going to have to call the police on me.
Private space move is something that even in Occupy, a lot of people cut their teeth in that Occupy movement, which was a response to the 2008 crash. They noted that many spaces and facilities had already become privatized. They were no longer public spaces. You don't own your land no more. Mike copyrights this. Russell, would you talk to Michael Mace, the anarchist? Yeah, I'd love to, actually. We should get in touch with Michael Mace. He's always good news. I think that somewhere between libertarianism and anarchism, the solution is available to us, although I would definitely infuse that with some spiritual values, because what is it we're doing this for? Is there something special and sacred about human consciousness, or are we just advanced apes? And I love apes, man. Or are we just blobs here temporarily, material, rational creatures condemned to entropy and atrophy? Or are we little pieces of the divine unity? We'll work it out. And yeah, for sure, I'd love to get Michael Malice on there. I'd love to.
Going to have to call the police.
That's a weird tune.
No need to be silly. But
No need to be silly.
yeah, thanks, guys, if you wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind. Yeah, you're going to have to call the police again. Okay, stop interrupting.
So that's what globalism and anti-globalism looks like now. This is sort of, in a sense, the front line in this conversation, where corporate power says you can't stand here, this is private space, you can't come to Davos and report on the agenda of BlackRock, you can't report on what these conferences ultimately facilitate. Is it a way of constructing narratives, formulating relationships, blooding new political figures? Certainly Trudeau, Macron, Rishi Sunak, just a few politicians that went through the WEF and its various schemes. And believe me, I don't have no truck with conspiracy. I think it's observable to see that there are affiliations, relationships, and sets of systemic biases that are becoming increasingly plain as our ability to instantaneously communicate reaches the kind of tipping point where we can, well, I think we can really make a difference now, guys. I think it's getting a little bit better. One of the UK's most secretive centres of scientific research is working on, because you're worried about disease X, are you? It's disease X. It's coming. We're not going to name it yet because monkeypox didn't work. Sounded stupid. This one, though, disease X. Woo, be afraid. Be afraid. Get into your house. Keep an arbitrary social distance. Put on some arbitrary piece of clothing. Take some potentially not clinically trialed sufficiently medications using a title and name that may not be efficient. Disease X is coming to you. The state-funded UK media, the British Broadcasting Corporation, which was once known as a treasure of this nation. And I don't know how, you know, in the words of Morrissey, has the world changed or have I changed? The BBC used to be magnificent. We always assumed a conduit for truth, but now it's difficult not to see it as a simple propagandist tool, a machine designed to subdue and control the population, to ensure obedience, to stoke fear, to create division, and to report favourably on a UK lab that is working on a vaccine for a disease that doesn't exist yet, using technology that potentially caused the last pandemic in a facility that's working on bioweapons. Well, there's nothing to worry about here, and we fund all this.
The British government has unveiled a new vaccine research facility where scientists are working to prevent future pandemics. It's located at Porton Down, a high-security research facility best known for its work on chemical warfare.
Okay then, so you're just effortlessly moving from chemical warfare to vaccine manufacture without asking any questions about mRNA technology or dual-purpose research, as if that whole thing hasn't happened. Rusty Ballstad says Disease X is still in brand development. Nice. Plinky Plonk 67 over in the Rumble chat. And a pangolin. How many more pangolins must suffer before we get a vaccine that could also be used as a bioweapon potentially? I'm not saying that's ever happened before. I'm just saying that's what they're working on next door. We're going to be talking a little more about the Dr. John Campbell's contribution to this conversation, but let's let this piece of propaganda play out. After all, if you're British, you paid for it.
Experts are preparing for what is known as Disease X, or the next pandemic virus.
Okay, so who do you trust? Let me know in the chat. For John Campbell, JC, and I know a lot of you are going to enjoy typing those initials. For the BBC, type BBC. Let me know. And here is, are we going to be able to show that, or are we going to have to transition to YouTube? Here's a poll we ran earlier on, I'm not sure where we ran it, but we asked, Disease X is imminent. Who do you trust to lead the response? Klaus Schwab, oh, come on, let me lead the response. Albert Bourla, Bill Gates, or Dr. John Campbell. 94%. Hey, democracy, protect our democracy. Ain't we bombing Yemen for democracy? Aren't we bombing the world for democracy? How about we create a little democracy here? I'm seeing a lot of JCs in the chat on Rumble, but that ain't surprising me because I know Christianity is thriving in that chat. I ain't seeing a lot of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I ain't seeing a lot of it. Let's have a look at Dr. Are we able to say this on YouTube? Because you know he gets a lot of strikes and stuff. Okay, look, we're going to show this on YouTube, but in a minute, we're going to be exclusively available in the stream, baptized in free speech and truth over on Rumble. But for now, let's have a look at Dr. John Campbell on Disease X, a pandemic coming to a nation near you. Luckily, the WHO have got a treaty already devised to ensure that if your country is a member, and check if they are, 5% of health budgets will go directly to them, and your country will not have the ability to oppose that legislation. I am citing the treaty itself. We should post the petitions against it. If any of you lot have got the petitions against it, can you post it in the Rumble chat and in the Awakened Wonder chat so that we can, because that's what democracy is now, right? Signing petitions and putting a sticker in your window to support whatever your men are care. We gave you a democracy, didn't we? After all, you can put a sticker up for the war we're having this week. Oh, thanks for the democracy. What about elevating our own heroes? What about elevating our own lifestyles? What about treasuring and cherishing our own freedom? Forget it. Let's have a look at Dr. John Campbell on Disease X. You've seen the propaganda. Let's have a look at the proper truth.
Now, I want to talk now about Disease X, which is on this website here. This is the World Economic Forum site, as far as I can derive. Disease X, this is how we should prepare for the next big virus. Global collaboration and adequate funding are needed to improve pandemic preparedness and ensure fast action to keep a viral outbreak at bay. It says you can get a long way being able to produce something. I'm not quite sure what's being produced, but you can produce some.
Love this dude. He's so dry. He's been on our show several times. Something. I don't know what they're going to be produced. You know what he's saying, right?
Something or other that will target a novel virus before that virus even emerges. I assume here they're referring to repurposed drugs, which could be rolled out very quickly and very cheaply, and may be efficacious against a range of conditions. Maybe that's what they mean. But anyway, they're going to produce something. Can't read too much into that. All they say is something. Could even mean a vaccine. I don't know. Whatever.
You're double dry. That's Englishness. Do you Americans get that? Does that convey if you're an American or a Canadian or an Australian? Do you get the John Campbell dryness right there? Let me know in the chat if you're receiving that.
What do you mean there? Anyway, that will target a novel virus before that virus even emerges.
What I love about John Campbell is at the start of the pandemic period, he was recommending that people take vaccines. Why? He's a medical professional. He's got the true spirit of the Hippocratic Oath, not only do no harm, help, assist and aid. You think I'm unaware of the great and wonderful people that work in the medical profession, the ingenuity of scientific endeavor and what is delivered for us? That ain't what we're talking about. We're talking about science as a subset of a different agenda. John Campbell went from saying, hey, these vaccines seem like the solution to, based on what? Evidence. Based on what? Data. Based on following the science. Well, the only place we're allowed to follow the science to is our own individual incarceration. If science leads to freedom, individual freedom, they don't convey those opinions.
It's a virus we don't know yet, but we do know it's out there. Do we? But we do know it's out there. Now, unfortunately, much to my annoyance and your annoyance, I felt compelled to delete yesterday's video.
Don't worry, because when we are on Rumble, we will be showing a piece of that now deleted video. Okay, so if you're watching us on YouTube, join us in the stream of free speech in a matter of moments where we'll be showing that, as well as I'm going to be telling you a little bit about our new partners who I'm honored to be working with Charlize. Charlize, is it possible that you can create pain-free, toxin-free, glorious new products available for you and your loved ones that are going to make your skin glow? Now that is an area of clinical trialing that's plainly been successful. I don't know how many mouses lost their lives for this skin cream, but it was worth it, baby. Let's watch the rest of this John Campbell. It's incredible.
My apologies. The trick is to live to fight another day. That's what we aim for. But the video I was doing yesterday was examining a particular virus.
Okay, now what John Campbell has said there is an interesting emergent phenomena from the highly censored spaces that we live in now. And remember, if you are Irish, they want to censor you more with hate speech laws. If you live in the EU, they want to censor you more with hate speech laws. If you live in the UK, they're censoring you more with new online safety laws. Canada, Australia, the USA, they are coming for your freedom and they are gunning hard and they're using your money to pay for the bullets. If you want to see Dr. John Campbell's Mouses piece that YouTube will simply not allow you to show. This is it. We're leaving. Put the countdown up. Let's put the countdown up. Now, there's 20,000, nearly 21,000 watching us on Rumble right now. If you're watching us on YouTube and you want to see the rest of this reporting on Disease X, join us over there and become an awakened wonder. Support our work. We are determined more than ever to create this movement. This is the time where we must unify, unite, decentralized but unified against this corruption, against this establishment, elitist, Davos-inspired corruption that threatens to immerse us all in nothing short of total, constant incarceration. So, if you're watching us on YouTube, click the link and join us over in the free stream of Rumble.